I love the versatility of project management tools and templates, especially when they enhance business activities outside of a project. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some top project management tools and templates that are going to help you be better at business. So let's be productive and efficient. Scope statement. This is a very important and critical tool in project management. Why? Because it lays out everything that you're supposed to be doing. What is a justification that you're doing this project? What exactly you're doing as a description? What's your ins and outs? Some very high level pieces of information. We use it in projects all the time. Critical to keeping us on path. But how can you use this scope template outside of a project? Well, let me tell you, for tons of things. If you have a brand new idea, vet it through the scope template, because it's going to allow you to start thinking of things that you need to think through and write down so you can give and pass down to your subordinates so they can start executing on those items and be successful because you're clear. It's also great for your clients. When your clients ask you for either some funding, project assistance, grant money, whatever it may be, use a scope template to gather all that information and then put a signing signature on it for approval. So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1. You got all the detailed information and a sign off. It's just a very valuable tool whenever you have a brand new idea or initiative to vet out the concepts that you're looking at. So it gives you a little more detail, something a little more solid to be working with, so that when you decide to initiate it, you have a really good baseline of info that's going to help you make a proper strategic decision. Before we get on to the next tip, I got some really good news. I have this for you. I created it just for you, which talks about the things that you need to do to make sure that your projects are successful. Where can you get it? You can go right now under this video to the link and click. Priority matrix. In project management, this is a really critical tool when we're kicking off our project to get really clear with what our constraints are and what we have flexibility with to change, because those things do happen within a project, and it revolves around scope, time, and budget. Now, for a business, this is really important as well. Prioritization is critical, and you can't have everything be a constraint or everything being a number one priority. So using the priority matrix is a great tool for any time you have any critical planning item, any strategy, or any major activity that you're trying to execute. You should be asking the question of the priority matrix. What is it that is a constraint that we're unable to move? And just have that thought process by translating it into your business activity. Charter. So what is a charter in a project management? It actually is the go-to document that has all of your detailed information. In fact, the scope template, some of that information is in the charter, but there's some additional information. So it's kind of giving your milestones, additional risks, all your finalized team members. It really is the baseline document you use in a project to get started, and that everyone knows what exactly expected from them, what they have to do, and when they have to do it by. Really critical document. Now, how do you use a charter outside of a project? Well, there's a couple of ways. Obviously, for me, planning sessions, when you're agreeing to an objective and a strategy and there's some tactics, you should put a charter around that particular strategy so you can understand how it's going to be delivered, timelines, who's going to work on it, etc. But you can also use this for training as well. If you have a training workshop, I use charters all the time to be very clear with what those expectations are. So using a charter just helps put the boundaries so everybody knows exactly what is expected of them. And it is something that ought to be used in business all the time for any new idea or initiative, giving the exact detail people need in order to be successful. Before we move on to the next tip, if you're wondering how do you get your hands on these tools and templates, well, don't you worry. I have all of these tools and templates and more in my Slay Project Management course. Risk planning documents. In project management, this is critical because risk happens and you need to have contingencies and mitigation plans to ensure that you minimize the impact on your project. But the same is true for business. Risk happens, and if you don't have any contingency or mitigation plans, let alone identification of potential risks for very important initiatives that you're doing, well, then you have a major risk that I hope never comes to fruition. So how can you use this very important tool and technique in project management in your business? Well, definitely with yearly planning. If you're doing yearly planning, you should be, and you agree to a whole bunch of things strategy-wise, you should be putting them through the risk planning tools that we use in project management to really vet things out. If you have any strategy sessions, if you have any potential communication that you're putting out and you want to understand what the impact could be, definitely a great place to look at as well. So anything that is important to you, you should be looking at risk in association with it. After action review. In project management, we really have to learn from what we've been working on, past projects as well. And so we always do an after action review. That after action review is not just at the end of the project, it could be at major milestones. But how I love to use it outside of a project is to actually use it in the same concepts of figuring out what happened and how can we course correct things, particularly with team members. So if you run a team, and again, it's not a project, but you just have people reporting into you, and how do you deal with issues that are popping up? Well, you use an after action review template and tool that we use in project management because it takes away the emotional charge. Why is that? Well, because you take a look at what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, and then you have a free section saying, what are we gonna do to ensure it doesn't happen again? And you bring the person in or people in and you talk through it together. It does not point the finger. It really keeps things neutral. It's an amazing tool and technique. I use it outside of projects all the time. Okay, now that you know how to use some key tools in project management in your business, guess what? I highly recommend you get this too, because your business is about success and you want to know some of those things that are going to make you successful from a project standpoint as well. Watch this video next. It's about having and running successful business meetings. On that note, if you can subscribe to this channel, if you enjoy this content, like this video, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments below.